The Miami Public Library is celebrating 100 years of bringing books and education into the community. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with how this place has impacted so many in Miami and the history behind it.
Plus, it's time for the 30th annual Cecil Floyd Craft Show in Joplin.
Cloudy but mild for our Saturday. We kept things dry for this evening so far, but I'm watching not only rain chances for tomorrow, but more rain chances for the middle of the week ahead. We'll break that down coming up.
The Class 3 state quarterfinals, the highlights in sports.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The Miami Public Library celebrated a big milestone today, its 100th birthday. Now, to celebrate, the library hosted their annual book sale in addition to a birthday party for the entire community. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky has how the library hopes to continue to enrich the town with books and knowledge in the upcoming 100 years.
Hopefully the building and everything will still be here and grow even more in the next 100 years.
The Miami Public Library is celebrating 100 years of bringing books into the community, but its history actually goes back much farther.
They existed a little longer than that, but the first building, the first actual library building, opened in November of 1921, and it was a Carnegie building, and it was the last Carnegie grant funds in Oklahoma.
Marcia Johnson, director of the Miami Public Library, says the library has a long and rich history, so they wanted to make sure it turned 100 in style.
We're having some musicians, Dr. Paul Furmeister on cello and Tammy Wilcox on the harp. They're going to entertain us for a while. We're going to have a birthday cake, and there's going to be a children's program upstairs. So we have a lot of cool stuff going on.
The birthday party and book sale brought people in from all over Miami, including the Edens.
I mean, it's always been here. I've always seen it when I drive by, and 100 years is pretty crazy, I feel like, for anything really, especially around here.
Haley Eden, who's lived here her whole life, says it's impressive to see something stick around in her town for this long.
In this town for 100 years and that it's still running. You don't see things stay for that long anymore.
She adds that it's nice to still be able to return to a place that holds childhood memories.
My mom was a big reader and she was a stay-at-home mom, so she would bring me weekly. We'd just pick out books and do things on the computers together and just have a good time.
And even after 100 years, the library continues to make an impact.
I definitely think it enriches the community.
In Miami, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
The library hopes to have another book sale sometime next spring. And almost spring-like outside, pretty mild for this time of year. Nick Kelly joins us.
And that's despite quite a bit of cloud cover that we had to deal with today, Chris. Despite that cloud cover, though, we've kept this view from 7th and Rangeline dry throughout the day. And again, despite the clouds, we went from 43 this morning to a mild 63 for this afternoon. We are continuing to see cloud cover locked in place for the rest of the night ahead of us, but I have a cold front wanting to work in from the Kansas Turnpike. That and an upper level wave. It's going to try and bring some scattered showers our way after midnight and right up until sunrise, where most of us will drop back to about 50. At least around Joplin, the farther northwest you go, you may drop back into the lower 40s to start the day out. But we are going to see all this cloud cover clear out as these systems move along. Eventually, that'll send us, Chris, back into the upper 50s for tomorrow. We'll break down the rest of the week, including another chance for rain by midweek coming up in a bit.
All right, Nick, thank you. Well, the Cecil Floyd PTA held its 30th annual craft fair today. Now, for the past 30 years, PTA has held the show to help raise money for the school. There were 125 vendors on hand for the craft fair with a variety of items available. Nearly every classroom was packed to capacity as more than 1,000 people came to shop around.
It's a big job, but it's one of those that it's very rewarding to know that we're keeping it going, and we're keeping some of our veterans vendors that come back for decades. They're still here with us. Our customers that have been bringing generations of family. It's wonderful, and in return, we're giving it back to the school, to our kids. So it's a great reward.
Now, to help raise money for the school, vendors are charged a booth fee and there's a $3 admission. Gillette says in the past, they've managed to bring in upwards of, get this, $20,000 for Cecil Floyd. Well, the Joplin Empire Market kicked off its 4th annual holiday market. The market included special holiday festivities like photos with Santa and other holiday-themed vendors. In addition to Santa being in attendance, as if that wasn't enough, the market will also be hosting special holiday programs for kids and local charities from now until Christmas. The Empire Market says ultimately it's their way of giving back during this season.
We have more jewelry, we have handmade leather goods, we have a local children's book author, we have our alpaca products back just for the holiday season. So it's really a way to come in and show your support for the small businesses that help make up our community.
The holiday market will continue every Saturday until Christmas and will also have a special event on Christmas Eve. Well, James River Church spent today preparing Thanksgiving baskets before giving them away to those in need. All 4 campuses, including the one in Joplin, packed a total of 1,400 baskets to provide complete Thanksgiving meals to the community. And by complete, we do mean all the fixins. That includes pie, yams, green beans, and of course, a turkey.
You know, a lot of these families are driving up, not able to provide for a number of different reasons, like you listed, of COVID, of falling on hard times in this season. And so, just to see the reaction of smiling and just being thankful for it, it's why we're here. It's why we came out early. It's why we have hundreds of volunteers showing up and giving back to the community.
James River partnered with Price Cutter to provide this year's meals. And we take this time now to honor one of our many 4-state heroes. Corporal Ray Sanders served in the Army during World War II and was in D-Day. Corporal Sanders received citations for outstanding performance of duty in action from both the United States and French presidents. And we are proud to recognize Corporal Ray Sanders, tonight's 4-state hero. And remember, learn more about other heroes or nominate one of your own at any time. All you need to do is head over to our website. That's KOAMNewsNow.com. A little later on the news at 9, coronavirus numbers in Israel are on the rise.
Even though the cloud cover really kicked into gear today, we still kept things mild. We'll break down the numbers as we go along here after we take a look outside from Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri. This view has been quiet all evening long despite quite a bit of cloud cover up top. Obviously can't see it quite well because we're way past sunset, but that cloud cover was there throughout the day. But didn't really have a problem with temperatures, though, in terms of warming things up. We had to start cold yesterday morning with upper 20s and lower 30s. We at least got into the mid-50s yesterday afternoon. As the cloud cover picked up, we only dropped back into the mid-40s this morning before, look at that, a nice jump back to 63 degrees this afternoon. We're still looking quiet from 7th and Rangeline as we continue into the late night and into Sunday morning, despite a lot of cloud cover still in place. Despite that, again, we are keeping things dry, at least before we head into the overnight hours. With that said, though, let's widen the view out a little more and plot the surface map for you. We actually have a quick moving cold front parked just on the other side of the Kansas Turnpike. That is eager to work through the region as we go through the overnight and into Sunday morning. And not only that, an upper level wave, a fast moving wave running right along the jet stream. These two systems will work together to keep us cloudy as we go through the overnight hours. But watch what happens after to midnight rather. Here's 2 a.m. on the feature track here. You can see how as the front and the upper level wave work on in, you can see maybe a couple of showers, maybe some random areas of drizzle and sprinkles popping up, mainly in our southeastern counties. This is how we're going to have to start our Sunday morning out. Otherwise, we have mostly cloudy skies and temperatures ranging from the lower 40s in our northwestern counties to about 50 closer you get to the Joplin metro area. But even though we'll start out the morning with some scattered showers, look at how fast these two systems will want to clear out. And as they do, we're dry going into the afternoon to start things out. And eventually, our mostly cloudy skies will turn mostly sunny as we go throughout the day. Despite the returning sunshine, though, not much wiggle room in terms of temperatures, though. 50 in the morning, 55 by noon, afternoon highs topping out right around 58 degrees. Fast forward through Sunday night, We are mostly clear, but temperatures will drop fast with the north breeze still in place and all these mostly clear skies in place. In fact, upper 20s to near 31 degrees to start Monday morning out. Then we'll just bounce back and forth, between partly and mostly sunny skies for your Monday as highs bounce right back to about 50 degrees or so. Heading through the rest of the week, quiet for Tuesday, maybe back in the lower 60s, but here comes our next wave. Ahead of it, we'll see some scattered showers pick up late Wednesday into Thanksgiving morning. Thanksgiving will have to start with some scattered showers, but this wave will quickly clear things out as we go through the rest of our Thanksgiving. So how does that impact temperatures? Well, at least we'll go to 58 tomorrow, 52 on Monday after a cold start in the morning, 60 on your Tuesday afternoon, then 62 before that midweek wave rolls on in. 39 for a cold start Thanksgiving morning, but at least we'll rebound to 46 in the day. Dry for Black Friday and Saturday with highs back in the lower 50s. Chris?
Thank you, Nick. Next on your News at 9, the impact of the COVID Delta variant on pregnant women.
Health experts hope that expanding booster shot availability will help the U.S. avoid a winter surge of new COVID cases. I'm Christina Coleman in Los Angeles. More on that coming up.
Well, the chance of death or stillbirth among pregnant COVID-19 patients increased when the Delta variant emerged. Those are the findings of 2 studies out on Friday. Now, the first study is from the CDC, and it looks at more than 1 million deliveries. It shows women diagnosed with COVID-19 are more likely to suffer from a stillbirth, and that risk increased when the Delta variant came on the scene. A second study out of Mississippi shows deaths among pregnant COVID-19 patients rose when the Delta variant became dominant. That's based on data from more than 1,600 infected pregnant women. Austria has become the first European country to impose a full COVID-19 national lockdown to tackle the autumn and winter season in the midst of soaring coronavirus infections, according to Chancellor Alexander Schallenberg. Now, the national lockdown will commence Monday and will last for 10 days minimum and could be expanded for a further 10 days, according to Schallenberg. The government also announced mandatory coronavirus vaccinations for everyone starting February 1st of next year. In Israel, the transmission rate of the coronavirus is reaching its highest level in about 2 months. The R rate, as it's called, is now at 0.97, meaning in simple terms, every 10 people with COVID will infect 9.7 other people. That's prompting experts to worry about a new spike in infections that may be coming. Well, ahead of a busy holiday travel season, federal health officials are expanding the availability of COVID-19 booster shots to all American adults. The lower dose vaccines offering not just an antibody boost, but potentially some peace of mind at the Thanksgiving table next week. Fox News correspondent Christina Coleman has that story.
The question of who's eligible for a COVID booster got much simpler on Friday after an FDA advisory panel signed off on them for all adults.
Now, when you give the boost, you're going to get that secondary immune response. You're going to get a big increase.
Anyone 6 months out from their last dose can now mix and match with a booster from any of the approved vaccines, though doctors do recommend anyone who got a Johnson & Johnson shot follow it up with an mRNA vaccine from Pfizer or Moderna. The FDA also puts anyone 50 and older in the category of those who should get a booster.
My hope is that the booster shots, the third shots, are really going to help with those hospital numbers, and that's what we really care about.
The extra layer of protection could be crucial as we head into the holidays, at a time when many Americans have put the pandemic in the rearview mirror. Cases are rising across the country, new infections up 31% just in the last 2 weeks. And with around 53 million Americans expected to travel for Thanksgiving, there's concern as temperatures drop and families gather inside. Case numbers could get worse.
40% of the U.S. population is unvaccinated, and that's enough for this virus to still gain a foothold.
Despite the added level of concern, health experts say it's still safe to gather with vaccinated family members this Thanksgiving. In Los Angeles, Christina Coleman, Fox News.
We've got more news coming your way here on the News at 9. Coming up, we're going to take a look at the trouble brewing between Amazon and a major credit card provider. Amazon may drop a major credit card partner while with ongoing payment disputes While that continues, the online e-commerce retailer says it may discontinue Visa as a co-branded card partner because of a disagreement about how much Visa charges for use of its card. In October, Visa started charging 1.5% of the transaction value for credit card payments made online or over the phone between the UK and European Union, and 1.15% for debit card transactions. Amazon says it would stop taking payments from Visa credit cards in the UK starting January 19th. Visa declined comment on the co-branded card issues. The nation's largest nursing home association is warning of negative impacts for the elderly hidden in the Biden administration's Build Back Better plan. The American Healthcare Association and National Center for Assisted Living says some provisions in the social spending plan could cause facility closures or limit acceptance of elderly into those facilities. The bill would require the nursing home industry to increase staffing by 25%, with RNs, licensed practical nurses, and certified nursing assistants, and increase the number of RNs on staff at least 8 hours a day. The association says the industry has lost 221,000 jobs since the start of the pandemic, and new hire requirements would cost more than $11 billion a year. United Parcel Service, or UPS, is giving the boot to the supply chain worries by giving its new hires a boot camp to help speed up their holiday service. UPS says it's ready to meet the holiday onslaught of gifts and other parcels by hiring 12,000 delivery drivers. All UPS drivers will get a week-long intensive boot camp training at one of 10 facilities. The training is designed to learn the routine, handle safety and obstacles like slippery floors or sidewalks, and timing, such as making a delivery in 90 seconds. UPS says about 20% of candidates make it through the boot camp, and some drivers can have up to 200 stops a day during the holidays. About 30% of seasonal workers transition to full-time. Soaring inflation is having an impact on the price of everything from groceries to gasoline. And now, with winter looming, home heating costs are expected to be a big strike on family budgets. Fox News correspondent Molly Line takes a look.
Oil trucks in New England are a familiar sight come winter. Cynthia Corzon of suburban Boston has lived in the same home for more than 60 years and is pragmatic about the costs of cold weather.
I can remember one time we just had winter coats on in the house. But hey, this is the way it is.
But those who heat with oil will need to dig deeper this year. Scott McFarlane is the owner of his family-run energy company.
Price of heating oil this year wholesale is about $1.10 a gallon more than it was a year ago at this time.
He offers fixed price and cap programs and advises families to take advantage.
The average homeowner is probably going to pay about $500 more for the heating season than they did a year ago.
Further north, New Hampshire's Republican Governor Chris Sununu fears fallout from uncontrolled inflation.
And so therefore heating fuel, especially across New England, is going to become incredibly expensive and hard to get.
Subsidy programs can help qualified residents, and the governor is urging homeowners to pre-buy. Early budgeting can be critical for businesses, too.
I feel pretty lucky. Back in April, we locked in for oil and propane.
The family that runs the historic Woodstock Inn in the Granite State's snowy white mountains knows how expensive a cold winter can be.
Some years it really works out to our favor, like especially this year, it's like our rooms are spread out throughout the property, $15,000 to $18,000 a month.
And while the business pays a fixed rate, Molly Norby is seeing her costs skyrocket.
For instance, at my house, I'm paying 80% more than what we're locked in here. It's astronomical, the pricing right now.
Per the U.S. Energy Information Administration, oil prices are expected to increase by 43%, while natural gas is projected to go up by 30%. In Waltham, Massachusetts, Molly Line, Fox News.
Well, still to come on the news at 9, many of you may have a Roku smart TV or one of those devices at home. Well, Roku has some plans to expand what it offers you. Roku has a plan to grab more viewers and ad dollars. Now, the Wall Street Journal says the Roku channel has more than 50 original shows in the works. Now, right now, Streaming service has about 155 million customers, but roughly half of them watch Roku's free ad-supported shows and movies. Roku hasn't put a dollar on how much it would fork over for original shows, but it told the Journal it would be on par with some basic cable shows. Well, still ahead on your News at 9, protests erupt in Portland following the verdict in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Plus, workers at John Deere have reached a settlement regarding their UAW contract. And a daughter springs into action in Florida when a robber comes after her mom. Also, the House passed President Biden's Build Back Better plan yesterday morning, and now the bill heads to the Senate where things could get complicated. Angry protesters in Portland, Oregon squared off with police as confrontations break out Friday over the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict. The demonstrators cornered riot police in a garage hours after the announcement of Rittenhouse's acquittal in Kenosha, Wisconsin. The riot police backing up while protesters continued a forward approach, screaming obscenities. Some protests in a group of about 150 people starting small fires, but were quickly dispersed. No tear gas or rubber bullets were used, according to witnesses. A jury acquitting Rittenhouse of all 5 charges in the shooting deaths of 2 men and injuring of another at a Black Lives Matter protest last year. Rittenhouse claimed he was acting in self-defense when he shot the 3 men. A strike against a major agricultural manufacturing company came to an end with a contract agreement. United Auto Workers accepted the latest contract offer by the John Deere Company. The UAW voted on Deere's 3rd contract proposal by a vote of 61% to 39% in favor of the deal. The new deal includes an $8,500 ratification bonus, an immediate 10% wage increase, and other benefits, including for retirement for more than 10,000 workers. UAW members were on strike against Deere for more than a month. John Deere makes tractors, harvesters, riding mowers, and other agriculture equipment under a UAW agreement. A Florida child is being honored for her bravery after she jumped into action to save her mom from an attack. West Palm Beach police awarded a 9-year-old girl with a token of appreciation for attempting to stop a man assaulting her mom, according to police. Now, the woman was attacked and pushed to the ground after exiting a store and walking to her car with her daughter. The suspect was attempting to steal the woman's purse when her 9-year-old daughter started hitting the suspect in the head. The suspect was unable to run off with the purse. Police arrested a suspect, Demetrius Jackson, and charged him with robbery and battery. Flooding in British Columbia, Canada brings on some travel restrictions as Canadians deal with their own supply chain problems. Canadian officials imposing some limits on non-essential travel and allowing only 8 gallons of gas at a time. Devastating floods and mudslides destroying roads, houses, and leaving thousands stranded in Canada's westernmost province. The storms last Sunday closing off the Trans Mountain crude oil pipeline and cutting 2 east-west rail lines of the Canadian Pacific and Canadian National Railway companies. Those lines leading to Canada's busiest port of Vancouver, hampering fuel and goods supplies. Service for the pipeline and rail lines could be restored next week. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is wrapping up a week-long tour of Africa. The Secretary of State visited 3 countries on the African continent. The Biden administration is hoping Blinken's trip will highlight efforts by the United States to fight the coronavirus pandemic and combat climate change. In Senegal, Blinken met with the country's president, Macky Sall, and promoted American-built infrastructure projects, sustainable developments, and human rights initiatives. AAA has confirmed what drivers already know all too well. The price of gasoline has been surging. The organization says on Friday, the average price for a gallon of gasoline jumped to $3.41 a gallon. That's a whopping 61% higher than the average at this time last year. However, also on Friday, the price of crude oil in the United States dropped to a 7-week low. Analysts say they should meet prices at the pump may start to finally trend downward. Yesterday, House Democrats delivered to President Biden another portion of his domestic policy agenda. They approved the president's $1.75 trillion social spending proposal. But there's still a long way to go. Fox News congressional correspondent Chad Pergram reports from Capitol Hill.
Democrats cheered. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi rammed through yet another controversial bill by a narrow margin. Moderate Jared Golden of Maine was the only Democratic nay. Democrats still contend they pay for the bill. Congressional scorekeepers say otherwise. Republicans drive that message home, but it falls on deaf ears.
Let's just not present what the Republicans say as any fact that you're predicating a question on. I mean, understand what's happening around here, okay?
Republicans sneered in unanimous opposition to the bill and offered a warning.
Mr. Loudermilk will vote hell no, and good luck in the Senate.
The 50-50 Senate is Act 2. Things grow exponentially more difficult there.
I don't think they have an agreement among themselves.
Democratic Senator Joe Manchin laments the bill doesn't address inflation.
Legislatively, Senator Manchin is going to be in a position to determine how this story ends.
Liberals dared Manchin to mess with the bill.
I think it would be very, very difficult for any Democrat of any background to be the sole no vote to tank this for the entire country.
But the House must eventually wrestle with the Senate's changes, and that's Act 3.
The House does not just write any bill that they think the Senate will pass.
House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy delayed passage of the bill by half a day. He seized the House floor all night with the longest speech in House history. He excoriated Democrats about their legislation.
Every page of this new Washington spending shows just how irresponsible and out of touch the Democrats are.
The GOP wants to weaponize this vote against Democrats, tying them to excessive spending. That brings us to Act 4, the midterms. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
A little later on the news at 9, President Biden asking those protesting the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict to do so peacefully.
Even though the cloud cover really kicked into gear today, we still kept things mild. We'll break down the numbers as we go along here after we take a look outside from Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri. This view has been quiet all evening long despite quite a bit of cloud cover up top. Obviously can't see it quite well because we're way past sunset, but that cloud cover was there throughout the day. But didn't really have a problem with temperatures, though, in terms of warming things up. We had to start cold yesterday morning with upper 20s and lower 30s. We at least got into the mid-50s yesterday afternoon. As the cloud cover picked up, we only dropped back into the mid-40s this morning before, look at that, a nice jump back to 63 degrees this afternoon. We're still looking quiet from 7th and Rangeline as we continue into the late night and into Sunday morning, despite a lot of cloud cover still in place. Despite that, again, we are keeping things dry, at least before we head into the overnight hours. With that said, though, let's widen the view out a little more and plot the surface map for you. We actually have a quick moving cold front parked just on the other side of the Kansas Turnpike. That is eager to work through the region as we go through the overnight and into Sunday morning. And not only that, an upper level wave, a fast moving wave running right along the jet stream. These two systems will work together to keep us cloudy as we go through the overnight hours. But watch what happens after to midnight rather. Here's 2 a.m. on the feature track here. You can see how as the front and the upper level wave work on in, you can see maybe a couple of showers, maybe some random areas of drizzle and sprinkles popping up, mainly in our southeastern counties. This is how we're going to have to start our Sunday morning out. Otherwise, we have mostly cloudy skies and temperatures ranging from the lower 40s in our northwestern counties to about 50 closer you get to the Joplin metro area. But even though we'll start out the morning with some scattered showers, look at how fast these two systems will want to clear out. And as they do, we're dry going into the afternoon to start things out. And eventually, our mostly cloudy skies will turn mostly sunny as we go throughout the day. Despite the returning sunshine, though, not much wiggle room in terms of temperatures, though. 50 in the morning, 55 by noon, afternoon highs topping out right around 58 degrees. Fast forward through Sunday night, We are mostly clear, but temperatures will drop fast with the north breeze still in place and all these mostly clear skies in place. In fact, upper 20s to near 31 degrees to start Monday morning out. Then we'll just bounce back and forth, between partly and mostly sunny skies for your Monday as highs bounce right back to about 50 degrees or so. Heading through the rest of the week, quiet for Tuesday, maybe back in the lower 60s, but here comes our next wave. Ahead of it, we'll see some scattered showers pick up late Wednesday into Thanksgiving morning. Thanksgiving will have to start with some scattered showers, but this wave will quickly clear things out as we go through the rest of our Thanksgiving. So how does that impact temperatures? Well, at least we'll go to 58 tomorrow, 52 on Monday after a cold start in the morning, 60 on your Tuesday afternoon, then 62 before that midweek wave rolls on in. 39 for a cold start Thanksgiving morning, but at least we'll rebound to 46 in the day. Dry for Black Friday and Saturday with highs back in the lower 50s. Chris?
Nick, thank you. Well, we've got some sports headed your way next on the News at 9. Coming up in sports, Seneca gets a home game in the Class 3 state quarterfinals. Danny Terzer has those highlights and so much more right after this.
High school football playoffs continue today in Missouri. The Seneca Indians won the district championship last week in Cody Hilburn's first year as head coach. Today, Seneca gets a home game against Mexico in the Class 3 state quarterfinals. Mexico threatening on the first drive, but the Indians' defense comes up with a huge fourth down stop in the red zone, scoreless after one. Then Jackson Mars takes the handoff, crosses the goal line from 4 yards out. Seneca on top. Mexico responds on the following drive. Andrew Runge runs it in 8 yards for the Bulldogs touchdown. Game tied up at 7, and that's the score at the break. In the third, Ty Sims finds Michael White over the middle. He takes it all the way in for the touchdown. Bulldogs have their first lead of the game. Later, Seneca gets the big play they need. Ball is dropped, and Dominic Wheeler comes away with the turnover. But the Indians fumble on the very next play. Bulldogs go down and score on their possession off the turnover. It's White getting his second TD of the night. Seneca falls to Mexico 20-7. The reigning Class 2 state champs are just 2 wins away from making it back to the state championship game. Lamar meets Ava today in the quarterfinal round. Tigers up 7-0. Logan Crockett finds a lane, breaks a tackle, and there he goes. 60-yard touchdown run. Lamar up 14-0. Ava answers back. Zach Richards rips off a run of his own. He'll make it into the end zone. Lamar with a 7-point lead at half. The Tigers score again in the third. Joel Beshore in the air this time. Play action pass to Austin Wilkerson. That pushes the Tigers back up 14. Ava fakes the punt to set up the field goal, but Lamar blocks it. Lamar rolls to the semifinals with a 35-14 win. Moving on to basketball, the Missouri Southern women are still on the hunt for their first win of the season. Missouri Southern on the road today facing Missouri S&T. The Lions top the Miners 74-50. Anna Hall and Lacey Stokes lead the way, combining for 33 of the team's points. The Missouri Southern men are hosting Day 2 of the Chris Tucker Memorial Classic. The Lions picked up an overtime win in Game 1 on Friday. Today, Missouri Southern hits the floor against 6th-ranked Truman State. Christian Bundy hits a 3 to start the scoring for the Lions. Then it's Lawson Jenkins with the triple from the corner. Missouri Southern trails 39-30 at half. In the second, Keaton Mischel all alone knocks it down. But RJ Smith has an answer. He finished with a team-high 25 points. Also a nice night for Avery Taggart. He adds 3 here, finishing with 18. At this point, Lions down by 6. Missouri Southern makes it close down the stretch, but Truman closes it out, winning 95-89.
I was proud of the way our guys fought back. The guys that were out there, Alex, Avery, RJ, and Winston, just fighting and keep on scrapping. I think we were down 14 with like 3 or 4 minutes to go, and able to cut it down to 4 and at least give themselves a chance. But again, they're the team they are. They stepped up and they made their free throws like they're supposed to, and kind of sealed the deal.
In the second matchup of the evening, Pittsburgh State takes on Southwest Baptist. The Gorillas took a 6-point lead into halftime, but came out flat to start the second. The Bearcats come back to win this one 81-72. The Division II National Championships for cross country are taking place in Tampa, Florida. Both the Pittsburgh State men and Missouri Southern men competed this morning. Individually for the Lions, JP Rutledge led the way with a 6th place finish in the 10K race. Teammate Ryan Riddle finished 20th. Both athletes earned All-American honors. The team placed 13th. As for Pittsburgh State, the team tied for 15th place. Matthew Oglesby was the first Gorilla to cross the finish line, coming in 65th place.
Still, overall, a busy day in sports, and it was just kind of a back and forth. You know, Seneca unfortunately fell, but Lamar came out on top, but Missouri Southern fell in the men's game, so it's just kind of a mix and match. But boy, that men's game, Missouri Southern looked pretty good.
Got some wins, got some losses, a little bit of everything today, right?
It keeps you busy, right? I mean, it keeps it more interesting when it's a good mix and match.
Absolutely.
Danny, thank you so much. We're going to be right back after this. President Biden asking protesters to, quote, express their views peacefully after acknowledging the Rittenhouse verdict left him, like many Americans, quote, angry and concerned. But the president failed to address his past comments that appeared to equate Rittenhouse with white supremacists. Fox News correspondent Alexandria Hoff has that story.
The president's opinion on the outcome is not totally in line with another top member of his administration. Upon returning to the White House from Walter Reed Medical Center yesterday, he said this.
I stand by what the jury has concluded. The jury system works.
But according to the vice president, it doesn't. She tweeted, quote, today's verdict speaks for itself. I've spent a majority of my career working to make our criminal justice system more equitable. It's clear there's still a lot more work to do. Following up on the president's earlier statements to reporters, the White House issued a lengthier one. This time, it included frustration from President Biden, who admitted yesterday he did not watch the trial. Quote, the verdict in Kenosha will leave many Americans feeling angry and concerned, myself included. And it's not the first time he's weighed in on the case. Yesterday, Rittenhouse's attorney reflected on this comment from then-candidate Biden last year.
I don't know enough to know whether that 17-year-old kid exactly what he did, but allegedly he's part of a militia coming out of the state of Illinois. Have you ever heard this president say one negative thing about white supremacists?
President Biden said some things that I think are so incorrect and untrue. He's not a white supremacist. I'm glad that he at least respects the jury verdict.
Now, the president also said that he committed resources to help keeping the peace in Wisconsin following the verdict. He added that violence and destruction of property have no place in our democracy. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
Well, coming up, it's almost Thanksgiving, so there's nothing wrong with celebrating a little bit early. Well, I was just talking with Nick Kelly about this, about celebrating Christmas a little too early, and now he's upset that we might be celebrating Thanksgiving a little too early. But I had to remind him that's not what this is about, so let me clue you in here. With Thanksgiving just around the corner, there's no better way to prepare for the holiday than participating in National Stuffing Day, which is tomorrow. So whether you prefer your stuffing cooked inside your Thanksgiving turkey or like to prepare it alongside your turkey with the rest of your sides, National Stuffing Day is the perfect day to gather with your family and just, simply eat stuffing. I mean, it's a special kind of Thanksgiving. And isn't that what we do anyway? On Thanksgiving, we stuff ourselves, so
I'll make an exception for stuffing.
Stuffing Day, I think. See, and that's perfect. Nick, you and I we'll all get together tomorrow and we'll have Stuffing Day here at the station.
It sounds good.
I think it sounds great. Sean, are you in? Sean is the silent and stoic type. I'm just giving me a look. Guys, that's our time for now. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll do it again next week. Good night.